Welcome back to SatoshiCryptoMoto, crypto, coffee, and commentary. What's awesome about this? At SatoshiCryptoMoto, I boost your peer-to-peer financial empowerment within a unified global community. Hashtag love all, serve others. What's awesome about this? Well, thinking about this, everybody knows what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this. And just so that I don't want to disrespect anybody, let's take a moment of silence just to remember those who have died and to just say a solemn word for those who are ill or sick from this. Thank you very, very much. And the reason why I want to start out that way is because I don't want to, in any way, shape, or form, come across like I want to disrespect the reality or the scope of this. At the same time, I do want to bring one point out about this that is really, really awesome. And what it is this: everyone on Earth at the same time can resonate with this. I belong to a Telegram group where I communicate almost every day about finances and economics with several people from all around the world. I mean, Ukraine, Kenya, Nigeria, Australia, Pakistan, India, France, England, Ecuador, Mexico, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Scotland, Italy, the Philippines, Malaysia, Spain, New Zealand, and others. And every single person, bar none, we ask, well, how you doing there? What's going on there? We hear about places on lockdown. One guy in France, for example, said that his family was on lockdown for a couple weeks, and right in the middle of that, they're saying it's going to be 6 weeks more. And it just, enough said about that. Well, the last thing I'll say about that is that it is unique in history, certainly in my lifetime, where so many people from all walks of life, all age groups, all nations. This is truly a universal phenomenon, and that is something that is awesome if we can capitalize on that. And so I want to talk about money because money is so important. You know what the biggest reason for breakup in a marriage is? It has to do with money. That's the number one reason why marriages break up. Arguments about money. And why is it that? It's because money pays for fundamental basic necessities that are close to our heart, close to providing for our children. So at this point in time, I just want to encourage everybody to hey, discuss things with your spouse, come to an agreement, discuss things with those in your family. And this is an important time. It's this important that we should be discussing things like this, come to an agreement, and then as we go about our way and after we've made whatever decision we make, let's stick to it. Let us respect the other person who we made an agreement with, to respect the decisions that we made with our money. The other thing that is so unique, I mean, in similarity to this, is finances and economics at this time in history. There's never been a time like this in history. But when you think about that, every single generation has said the same thing. Oh, there's never been a time like this in history. And you know what? They're right, because they've never been in a different time in history. But the point is that with the uniformity and the universality and the ubiquity of the resonance ubiquity, everybody globally, financially, in the past, I want to say 10 years certainly, has been able to begin to resonate with an awakening, saying, hey, enough is enough, time's up. It reminds me of one of my top 25 movies, Braveheart. So many people really, really like that movie, but there was one man, it took one man to stand up and change the sentiment and the spirit of an entire nation. And what I'm talking about here with the financial system and the economics globally, this doesn't have to do with just one neighborhood or one city or one state or even one nation or even one region. It has to do with the entire world, the entire globe, and there's 3 or 4 main reasons for that. And I'll touch on those in a second. But this is unlike any other time in history because as a whole, globally, people are waking up and they're saying enough is enough. And prior to 2020, when we have been distracted by this, and I'll just say prior to 2020, before we were distracted, there were so many protests going on all over the world, huge protests. Iran, Ecuador, Turkey. We've heard of the ones going on in Hong Kong and the Yellow Vest movement in France. That was up to 70 weeks. They just had their 70th week. And even though there was the shutdown and a ban on groups over, I think it was size 20 or 100, they still met because they wanted to commemorate 70 weeks of coming out and standing up as one, as a voice against the terrible financial decisions that are being made in that country. But there's 3 or 4 main reasons that have brought us to today. One is global population, one is technology, and 3 is financial changes, or the technology of finance in particular. In 1950, it took all of history to get to 1950 and 2.5 billion people, but it took only 67 years for there to be twice that many people added. It took 67 years up until 2017 for the world to add 5 billion people. In 2017, the world went past 7.5 billion people. And when you coincident that with the improvement and the onset of the exponential pace of technology, and certainly with the interwebs and the internet and the internet in particular, so that there's so much more information that's disseminated independently for the entire populace to enable them to be able to curate and then decide things independently, just get a better scope of what their reality is. And then when you coincident that with mobile phones, and not just mobile phones, but the ability for us to communicate even visually, real time. And now, with 4G, you could download a high-def movie in 7 minutes. Well, 5G, you could download a high-def movie in 7 seconds. So that is just an incredible advancement that I think will become mainstream, they say, in 2020. So January 3rd, 2009, Bitcoin came out to the world. It is a disintermediating, lean fighting machine that has no CEO, no brick and mortar, no place that you can shut down. Even if they flip the switch, it can still transact and live through ham radio transactions and through satellite technology. And fast forward to today, look at the markets. In 6 weeks, the U.S. and the stock market went from all-time highs and during Trump's administration to lower than what it was when Trump took office. But at the same time, all markets went down, Bitcoin included. I think it dropped 70% at one point, but now this is the exceedingly important point I'm going to put up here. That recently, up until today, which is March 20th, 2020, it went up to about 7,000, which is almost back to what it was before the dip. And what is fueling that is retail investors like you and I. The institutional investors who were heavily invested in the Bitcoin market have had to cash out, and which caused a big drop and a sell-off. But blockchain wallets of Bitcoin with 1/10 of a Bitcoin or more greatly increased in the last 2 weeks. There's now almost 3 million wallets on Earth with 1/10 of a Bitcoin or more now. There's almost 27 million with less than 1/10 of a Bitcoin. The average size, I think, from the numbers I crunched, of any wallet with Bitcoin in it is 6/10 of a Bitcoin. So you should shoot for at least 1/10 of a Bitcoin, and if you're interested in getting Bitcoin and more. So the thing that I want to mainly promote is amidst this panic and this fear and this indecision that's going on globally that we can all resonate with in common with each other, let us also remember and not be so totally distracted by that we don't take care of the finances of ourselves and our own family. And I personally highly recommend the trend that I've been watching for 5 years now, that this great financial technological improvement, which so many people are moving into, even governments and nations, for the last 2 years especially, things are going to be moving into there. And in 6 months to a year to 18 months, this entire world's finances are going to look very different than they do today. Just look around. We know there is great change coming up. So stand strong. Hashtag love all, serve others. I wish you well. I wish you wealth. I wish you health. And until next time, peace.